Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. The news is live from our studios here at Kokomlimle. It's Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. In Kumasi, we're live on Love 99.5 FM and affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Bewa Radio in Yendi, Kekeli Radio in Ho, A1 Radio in Bolgatanga, and Gaskia FM in Tichiman. You can also download the My Journal app from Play Store and App Store to listen live around the world. In this edition, 3 workers of the Joabing Oil Mills Limited confirmed dead in what the company describes as a mechanical failure on their boilers.
Basically, what happened is a mechanical failure. That means that it cannot be explained. We had 6 accidents, 3 of which has been treated and discharged, and unfortunately, 3 could not survive.
We have the very latest on this accident. Also, religious leaders face off with opponents of anti-homosexuality bill. We'll get updates as the leadership of the Pentecost Church submits memoranda to back the bill. But the group opposed to the bill says the state has no rights meddling in the sexual preference of consenting adults.
If 2 consenting adults have this relationship, it is no business of society. Even if I, as a Kotampa, I may not like it.
Former director of the Ghana School of Law says the General Legal Council lacks the competence to task a body to administer entrance examinations and demands urgent reforms following mass failures that left numerous students frustrated.
The body, the General Legal Council, should have been scrapped soon after Ghana attained Republican status.
1,000 students gained admission in sports.
In sports, Ghanaian boxer Richard Kome looks set to face Ukraine's Vasily Lomachenko in a bout which could change the outlook of the IBF's lightweight division. Details in about 20 minutes.
And later, we'll introduce you to the soul Ghanaian Christian country music crooner El Tove as he releases 2 new singles, Away the Issue Went and Silver and Gold.
Silver and gold, I have none. What I have.
Want to know more about El Tove? You want to stay with me for details of that and more here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apo. We'll start off from the Ashanti region. Of course, this is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. And in the Ashanti region, there are 3 workers of the Joabing Oil Mills Limited have been confirmed dead in what the company describes as a mechanical failure on their boilers. The company processes palm nut into various types of product. The accident, we are told, occurred yesterday. 3 others have sustained injuries and they've been treated and discharged. Erastus Asaridonko has been following this and joins us on the line with more. Erastus, explain to us how exactly this accident happened.
Well, so we are just told by the company that it was a mechanical failure on one of their boilers, which led to an opening which unleashed steam from the boiler onto these 6 workers who were working on at the factory at that particular time. Unfortunately, 3 of them lost their lives. 3 sustained various degrees of injuries. They've been treated and discharged. So they themselves do not understand why that happened. And so they have instituted investigations into the cause of this incident.
Basically, what happened is a mechanical failure. That means that it cannot be explained. It breaches engineering design. What really happened here? So we are undergoing investigations to the various statutory bodies to ascertain exactly what really happened. So in terms of safety protocols, nothing has been breached. For the past 40 years that the company has been in operation, nothing of this nature has ever happened before.
Any casualties?
Yes, unfortunately, we had 6 accidents, 3 of which has been treated and discharged, and unfortunately 3 could not survive. In the interim, all the bodies, the fire service, NADMO, factory inspectorate, they are all here because we are certified with all of them, including the Environmental Protection Agency. We are certified with everybody as a company. So we really need to get down to the bottom of it since lives have been affected.
So have you suspended operations for now?
Yes, definitely. For such a traumatic situation, we have to consider the plight of management and that of employees who have lost we have all lost our loved ones, and we have to sit down and then reflect and console the bereaved family, and then so we have suspended operation for this week.
So, Erastus, that's the company's account of what exactly happened. Have we heard from authorities on what the next line of action will be?
Well, we've only spoken to NADMO officials here from the municipal, and they are also saying the same thing, that they've also started investigations into it, and they expect that the company will remain closed for now as they conduct their investigations for the next line of action. But we are currently at the family house of one of them, and this is a 26-year-old man who completed senior high school, and there is a lot of wailing here. It has taken the whole family by surprise. We just understand that they were notified yesterday, and many of them have gathered here to commiserate with the family.
That's my colleague Erastus Sassari Donko there reporting from the Ashanti region. Let's take a quick dash now back to Accra, this time to Parliament, which has this week been receiving memoranda on the anti-LGBTQ bill ahead of its second reading. As you know, the private members bill sponsored by Ningo Prampram MP Sam George and others criminalizes dissenting view and expressions contrary to the words freedom and justice that emblazon the nation's coat of arms. A group opposed to the legislation says the state has no business meddling in the sexual preference of consenting adults. The coalition comprises, among others, private legal practitioner Akoto Ampao, Professor Techiwa Menu, Professor Kwame Karakari, Professor Kofi Jimabwedi, amongst others. Now, speaking with Evans Mensah on PM Express, Mr. Akoto Ampao said the attempt to raise public hate against homosexuals violates the Constitution of Ghana.
The whole thrust of the bill is to arouse public sentiment and to more or less validate the public hatred for homosexuals that the state itself has given the stamp of its official authority for those who think homosexuals are inhuman. They are against everything that we stand for and should be pushed aside. So the provisions which talk about providing protection and so on are hypocritical. So if you go to Article 21, it says every person, not every Ghanaian. No. So the person can come from anywhere. If he is in Ghana, the Constitution protects his freedom of expression, his freedom of religion, his freedom not to be discriminated against. Even though a democracy has an important element of majority rule, what makes a democracy democratic is that, notwithstanding that, the minority rights are protected.
But the law, as we speak, specifically and factually, offers protection for the minority rights of LGBTQ. It says here, the bill seeks to prohibit, I'm quoting, the abuse or harassment of persons suspected to be LGBTQ. The bill simultaneously extends opportunities for access to medical and psychological support and to facilitate their integration.
This is, in our view, a very hypocritical, offer of a hand. Why do I say so? I say so because everything else in the bill is an attempt to quash out the existence of homosexuality.
That's not all. He wants Parliament to be open, transparent in the consideration of the bill, warning any attempt to silence minority views may not bode well for the country.
Our position as a group is that every person who is a human being is entitled to certain basic rights, and that what the bill is doing is launching an assault on the rights of a particular group in our society. And we see that as dangerous for our democracy, because if today it is homosexuals, tomorrow, God forbid, it may be Buddhists. The next day, it may be something else. And before you are aware, running on this, stream of majority. This is what the majority says, not what the Constitution is saying. You find that step by step, our freedoms are being eroded.
So your position is having sex with another man is your right?
And we are saying that if two consenting adults have this relationship, it is no business of society. Even if I, as Akutampa, I may not like it.
Now, Sakutuampa, they're speaking to Evans Mensah on PM Express. I'll take you to Parliament now, where the leadership of the Church of Pentecost and some religious leaders are in the House with a memo in support of the anti-LGBTQ bill. And my colleague Elton Brobe is there for us. Elton, have they presented their memo to the Speaker just yet?
Not yet, MF. I'm just in the midst of men of God who are here in Parliament. And instead of the Speaker, they will be presenting their memo to a member of the Committee on Legal and Constitutional Affairs of Parliament, because the matter is now before the committee. When Parliament...
Unfortunately, I've just lost my colleague Elton Brobe, but we'll raise Elton back and then we'll get details of the Badasi report. That memo is yet to be presented to the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament. But let's move on to some other stories now. And a former director of the Ghana School of Law, Kweku Ansasari, says the General Legal Council lacks the competence to supervise or task any entity to administer entrance examination into the Ghana School of Law. I'll give you details shortly, but let me bring back Elton Brobe, who's still with us from Parliament. Elton, you're telling us that the memo is yet to be presented to the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee?
Yes, because the matter is out of the Speaker's hands now. So the Speaker's office has directed them to present them to the Committee on Legal and Constitution. Sam George, who is one of the sponsors of the private members, is here. So soon the members from the clergy, numbering about 30, will have the opportunity to speak to the matter that has brought them here. And I've been speaking to Reverend Dr. Anani Watson, who is from the Methodists, who tells me that they will only be demanding one thing, that Parliament move swiftly in deciding on this matter once and for all. They don't want this matter to drag, such that people will have a lot of input into it. They are clear in their mind that homosexuality is not something that Ghana is ready to accept. For that reason, they are here to express their support to Parliament, and get them to understand that they have the support of the religious leaders, and then swiftly pass this bill into law, so that we'll have clear guidelines as to how to deal with these matters going forward. But that presentation is just to start.
But have they had the clear opposition to this particular bill, saying that we have no business meddling in the sexual preference of consenting adults?
They say that is one of the reasons why all of them have come together, and they want to meet the committee to speak to them on this matter. They are of the view that further dragging of this bill will allow a lot of people to speak to it, thereby delaying passage of it. He is of the view that speaking for Christians, which forms majority of the population of this country, they are firm in their belief that this is not something that they want, and for that reason, they want to add their voice and get it passed as early as possible. That's the more reason why they want to make this presentation before Parliament.
That's my colleague Elton Brobe, and we are told that 30 members of the clergy are to present a memo to the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee for the quick passage of the anti-LGBTQ bill. Now, a former director of the Ghana School of Law, Kweku Ansasari, says the General Legal Council lacks the competence to supervise or task any entity to administer entrance examinations into the Ghana School of Law. Only 790 out of more than 2,000 students gained admission into the Ghana School of Law this year. Already, the agitations at various levels regarding the outcome of that exam. CDD Fellow in Public Law and Justice Professor Stephen Asari has filed a right to information request asking to see the raw scores of all students who wrote the exam. Another request has been made to the Speaker of Parliament by a member of the House for the scores to be made available as well. We'll hear from the MP shortly, but first listen to two students who failed to gain admission share their frustrations.
It's really frustrating that somebody reads over 180 topics within 7 weeks, sits for an exams, makes assuming 78%, and you are saying that because that student could not make half of every side of the questions, the exams, that student has to fail. It doesn't make sense. In fact, it's so absurd. It's unacceptable. But I don't think the problem is actually the student. The problem is the structure. the system we run.
So I was a bit confused because why isn't my name on the pass list when I have attained about 50%? Then I saw a notice that had been published, which was attached to the raw scores, that students were now expected to attain 50% in each section before they would be allowed into the school. This essentially means that you can actually pass the exam, but you will be disqualified from admission. This was not communicated to us. We were told we were supposed to attain 50% when we wrote the exam, which is what 499 students did. But we have been excluded because of this new disqualification criteria that we did not know about.
You heard that students who failed to gain admission share their frustrations on the Super Morning Show. Well, on the same show, former director of the Ghana School of Law, Kweku Ansasari, is demanding urgent holistic reforms, which he believes is the surest way of halting the perennial trend of thousands failing to gain admission into Ghana's only professional law training school.
The General Legal Council is not competent to administer, such examinations. And I say so because the General Legal Council seems to me to be an amorphous body composed of people from the judiciary, from the Ministry of Justice, the Dean of the University of Ghana Law School, some professional and non-professional personnel. Now, as a body, quite a number of them do not appear to understand and appreciate legal education. Most of them know next to nothing about legal education. The body, the General Legal Council, should have been scrapped soon after Ghana attained Republican status. Is to establish a National Council for Legal Education to be made up of people who are knowledgeable, who have the requisite expertise to engage and drive the engine of legal education than the body, that has been tasked to, oversee the delivery of legal education.
Well, for the Vice President of Imani Africa, Kofi Bentil, the Ghana School of Law has outlived its usefulness.
There is nothing special about the training of lawyers beyond the training of doctors or the training of accountants or other professional courses, for which we should restrict it all to just one small school and continue to oppress people unconstitutionally and basically extort money from them for remarking and all kinds of situations. There has to be better leadership in that area. The point is, if you are using an examination system to determine who qualifies, that itself is unconstitutional. How is it that somehow the people who pass just seem to be about just the number that the Ghana School of Law can admit?
That's Kofi Bentil there. Well, Francis Xavier Susu, MP, former Dean and Deputy Ranking Member on Parliament's Constitutional and Legal Parliamentary Affairs Committee, has petitioned the Speaker over the matter. My colleague Joseph Akable joins me with details. What exactly is he seeking?
And so he's saying that it's important that Parliament investigates the matter, and he makes the point that under Article 37(1) of the 1992 Constitution, the state shall endeavor to secure and protect a social order founded on the ideals and principles of freedom, equality, justice, probity, and accountability. And he goes on to say that there is the need for investigations to ascertain whether or not the pass rates and scores are based on actual performance of students during examination or as a result of lack of available infrastructure to accommodate the excess number, hence this petition.
Well, we can wrap up on this with some students who called into the Super Morning Show to share their views.
The way we take everything in this country is our problem, okay? Things are not seen very seriously. And so people do things and go with it, and it's like it's going slowly into all the fabric, all our societal fabric.
It's basically due to an infrastructure issue. All this is resulting from an infrastructure issue.
It seems to me the structure for becoming a lawyer is a bit cumbersome. And if you ask me, if you look at the way the doctors and then the other healthcare professionals have had their system, where the schools that this is done, once you finish, you would probably carry out your internship and then you write your final exam and be a registered professional. Can we have a structure like that
elsewhere? When there's a massive failure, a probe is opened into the exam council's operation, and some people would have to resign or get suspended or even sacked as a result of that.
Some of your views on the Super Morning Show. So what you're hearing there are voices of some persons believed to be members of the NPP who massed up at the Seshri Draboso District Assembly after the president's nominee for Chief Executive Godfred Ejiasante was rejected by the assembly members. They are demanding a full refund of monies allegedly paid to the assembly members to ensure approval of that nominee. The nominee had 11 yes votes out of 23 assembly members present during the time of voting. This meant he could not meet the two-thirds threshold. Natalia Kwanzaa is our correspondent following that up for us. She joins us with more. Ina, what more do we know about this alleged bribe paid to the MPs?
Yes, MFR. So for yesterday, they were demanding money ranging from 1,000 to 4,000 from these assembly members, and it took the intervention of the police, who took these assembly members from the district assembly to the Draboso district police command for tensions to calm down before they were allowed to move to their various homes. As of now, assembly members have refused to comment on it, whether they took those monies or not. We've been trying hard to contact the presiding member, but it has proven futile. And then executives of the MPP have also failed or denied to speak on this particular issue.
But we understand there are other assemblies also with similar allegations and demand for refund?
Sure. MFR and the Shama District Assembly, for instance, this morning, the assembly member for Shama, Tifido, was also making allegation that his colleagues took 2,500 from the president's nominee, Ebenezer Dazi, on Tuesday before they went for the election yesterday, but they voted against him. So this is also confusion that has come up in Shama. Meanwhile, the presiding member over there has also come out to say that.
My colleague Natalia Kwanzaa there would stay a while longer in the region because several thousands of birds were destroyed nationwide in the recent bird flu outbreak nationwide. Now, farmers across the country have been counting their losses since government promised it was working on a compensation package for affected farmers. But this afternoon, Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Owusu Kotofriye, has given the clearest indication yet that government will not renege on the promise. He's been speaking in the Western region.
At the moment, I have a memo at Cabinet for seeking money for compensation to the farmers. So you better convey to them they shouldn't worry. I mean, this is my second experience. The first one when I was a member of Parliament and the ranking member for Food, Agriculture and Cocoa Affairs in 2015, there was an outbreak. And we were in the forefront trying to force the government to give money for compensation. Now that I'm in charge, nobody can come and tell me.
Well, my colleague Kweku Asante is with the minister on his tour. He joins us on the line. So, Kweku, the minister paid a courtesy call on the paramount chief of the area also. Amongst others, issues about warehouse and rice production came up. Give us details.
Right, we know that government has set for itself an ambitious target of winning the country off rice exports by 2024. The minister has been calling on the chief, who's been saying that the region has enormous capacity to develop to the country's sufficiency. And so he wants the minister to pay more attention to the region and also increase the warehouse in the region so that they can be able to store some of these produce.
That's my colleague Kweku Asante. It's a good time for a quick break here on the Midday News. Our top stories: 3 workers of the Jobbing Oil Mills Limited confirmed dead in what the company describes as a mechanical failure on their boilers. Also, we've heard religious leaders face off with opponents of anti-homosexuality bill. Up to 30 members of the clergy are getting ready to petition or submit a memoranda to the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee for a quick passage of the anti-LGBTQ bill. When we return from the break, we have sport, and then later, I'll introduce to you the soul Ghanaian Christian country music crooner, El Tove, as he releases 2 new singles, Away the Issue Went and Silver and Gold.
Silver and gold, I have none. What I have that I give thee, the name of Jesus, rise and walk.
Wonderful Smart Service here! Yes, Smart Service from Vodafone allows you to connect to super fast wireless internet anywhere and anytime at your own convenience. Whether home or office or on your, we move with seamless connectivity. Tell you there's even more. Vodafone Smart Serve connect up to 32 devices. So now you can connect to the internet on your own terms. Increase your productivity, make the most of the things that matter, and do so much more. Visit fvb.vodafone.com.gh or the nearest Vodafone shop today and get a Smart Serve device now. A world of exciting possibilities awaits.
Vodafone. Together we can.
Many thanks for your company. Let's do sports. Gary.
Thank you, MFI. And former IBF champion Richard Cummings' quest to reclaim world title glory is set to hit a high point as he faces fellow former champion Vasily Lomachenko of Ukraine. The fight, likely to come off in the first week of December this year, also has implications not only for Cummings but for the division as well. That's the lightweight division. The Ghanaian has a record of 33 wins and 3 losses, while Lomachenko, who previously held 3 titles, has 2 defeats in 17 bouts. Nathaniel Ato gives us the relevance.
We have a situation of parallels here because at a certain point in the history of the lightweight division, you had the 4 major title belts being shared between Ghana's Richard Cummings and Vasily Lomachenko of Ukraine. Now, Richard Cummings had the IBF and Vasily Lomachenko had the others, WBC, WBO, and WBA. Now, it was the case that Teofimo Lopez fought and defeated both boxers. He started with Richard Cummings. He got the IBF title from him, and then after that defeated Vasily Lomachenko. As the situation stands, Teofimo Lopez is the man of the moment because he's the unified champion with all the 4 belts. So both boxers would have to find their way to fighting him, reclaiming title glory. Now, as the situation stands now, both Richard Cummings and Vasily Lomachenko are looking good. In all of this put together, you'd realize that both boxers are aiming at the same thing but need to get the job done first. Now, as the situation stands, Teofimo Lopez also has to defend all of his titles sooner than later. And one of the persons who is knocking heavily at the door is George Kambasos Jr. of Australia, who's undefeated in 19 bouts. So there's a lot of competition around who will get the opportunity to fight against Teofimo Lopez to reclaim all of those titles. And of course, the man Vasily Lomachenko stands tall because he's the number 1 contender on both the WBC and WBO rankings. But let's see how all of it goes. First of all, we need to clear off this big one between Richard Cummings and Vasily Lomachenko.
Nathaniel Ato, and that's the sport.
Thank you very much, Gary. Now, government is racing against time to avert a possible crisis on the country's university campuses after university teachers declare they will embark on a strike by Friday. We can hear from UTAG President, Professor Samuel Nunu, who says government has called the leadership of the association for a meeting today following their threat.
We are of the firm belief that once the employer shifts and we say that now they are at the table and ready to bargain with good faith, then it becomes easier for you to work with us. But without that, it's impossible for us to make any concessions at this point.
Now, you've given Friday the 8th as a deadline, and if no agreement is reached by then, you're going to strike. Are you optimistic there's going to be any action before then, Prof?
They've invited us for a meeting. So all over the country, UTAG executives, the leaders who are members of the negotiation team, are on their way coming to the table for us to talk.
That's Samuel Nunu there, UTAG President. So we'll look out for that meeting later today. It's time for showbiz. Mapitso Sibede is here in the studio.
MFR, you know, country music is synonymous with Americans, you know, particularly those in the South. But down here in Ghana, we have a young gentleman who has decided to, you know, chart this path. He goes by the name Altove, but most of his fans know him as Love FM's Kwesi Deborah. And he has released 2 songs. Let's listen to one of them.
Hold my hand, get up please, feet and ankle, fill with strength, we carry power in our pockets, we know your lane, and need some help, silver and gold.
Silver and gold. Oh, Altove to the Wiyase. I'll tove to the Wiyase, man.
What's the day?
Mentio.
I'm told they'll play it on the Super Bowl show tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Jackson tells me it will be inspirational music.
It will be. Silver
tomorrow.
and gold.
Silver and gold.
That's right.
Wow. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
So
much.
El Tove to the world. And that's it for the midday news here on Joy 99.7 FM. On my joyonline.com, stories making the headlines. 3 dead at the scene jet after mechanical failure at Drubbing Oil Mills. UTAX resumes strike from October 8 after government failed to address concerns. Ensure road traffic offenders face full rigors of the law. Christian Council to police. That and more on my joyonline.com. We have Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil, self-government. I am MFA Paul. Many thanks for your company.
That I give thee the name of Jesus. Rise and walk.
Hello, please, am I speaking to Miss Joanna Kuma?
Yes, please.
My name is Philip and I'm calling from